Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Maps and Graps podcast. If you're anything like me, you're sleep deprived. If you've been staying up to watch the G1, it's been so much fun stuff. A lot of great wrestling happened this past week. Shout out to everybody who did the marathon from Rampage all the way through Slammiversary, the Noah show, the multiple New Japan shows. It's been a lot of great wrestling going on. Hopefully, you've gotten a chance to see some of it. But if you haven't, don't worry. That's what this podcast exists for. As always, my name is Lyric Swinton. I'm your host. And today I have a very, 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 very special guest. You've probably seen her on all of the New Japan Strong shows this year, absolutely killing it backstage, interviewing your faves. But I have Emily May Heller on the show today. Super excited. I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Well, hello everyone. I'm Emily. Emily May. You've seen me on some wrestling shows. I'm excited to be here because we finally got to meet in person.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited. So yeah, there was, like you said, there was so much wrestling happening this weekend. I'm still catching up. I'm like there was so much to digest from so many different companies, and yeah, and we have more this weekend. It's
Way
wild.
more.
It's like getting fired at us from all areas. But I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to see you host, and I love that you have your own show, and I love supporting all of the amazing hosts and content creators that I know.
Awesome. Thank you. So going to start off with Friday. There wasn't too much to talk about on Rampage except for one match that was very, very special, which was the finals of the semifinals of the Owens Hart Women's Tournament. Willow Nightingale versus Athena took place. This, if you listen to me, read anything that I talk about, I've been talking about this killer run that both of these ladies have been on this year. If you have kept up with Ring of Honor since second episode of Honor Club, you know that to this day, Athena and Willow probably have the best match period from the reboot of Ring of Honor, from the match that they had earlier this year. So this was the rematch, and Willow won. It advanced to the Owen Hart final. Were you able to catch this match, or just how do you feel about the killer run these two ladies have been on? I know you probably have some personal insight with Willow.
Yeah, I mean these I know both of these ladies very, very well, and I'm so happy that Athena has found like her place, right? I feel like she really is this amazing champion for Ring of Honor, and she's able to really like showcase kind of how fabulous she is and how amazing she is with this run that she's had. And again, Athena and Willow have history, and Willow has had a historic year for her career. She obviously won the Strong Women's Championship, and she did recently lose it, but I think obviously we know what happened in the Owen Hart Foundation tournament, so this is definitely her year. And so just seeing Willow be so embraced by fans around the world, like AEW obviously has a global influence, but the fact that she also was able to go to Japan and connect there with Japanese fans was amazing to see and watch. But the two of them, Willow and Athena, have history. So this, again, like you said, is this rematch. And this really, Willow went into this match, I feel like, on a different mental state, because she really was kind of in this state of having to prove herself even more, right? Like Athena was champion. Willow understands what it's like to be champion, but she was just in a different moment, in this match. And obviously she came out with that win to head to the finals.
Yeah, and I think that this match wasn't as good as the first match, but I think a lot of that was due to timing and TV constraints.
Yeah.
And
TV
now,
timing can be tough.
absolutely. But now we know that we're finally going to get this rubber match this Friday, Death Before Dishonor. And at least from the way that it looks right now, these two are going to main event, which is absolutely unprecedented for women to main event a pay-per-view, a Ring of Honor pay-per-view. and let alone Black women. This is going to be absolutely incredible. I think like just seeing Willow when she first faced Athena, it was more so of just like a, you know, Willow, happy to be here. Just like this, just fiery baby face of just like keep getting back up. But I think it's just a testament to how good Athena is and just how good Willow is. We've literally seen Willow travel the world over the past couple months, challenge herself against the very, very best that even exists to get ready for Athena.
Yeah, and we've seen Willow transition from kind of this like always willing to please type of attitude, like going in there like I'm the positive one, to having this switch of like I am the best in the world. Like I've proven it time and time over and over again. And so now she has a little bit of that pleasing attitude, that positive energy, I would say.
Yes.
But she has kind of this edge to her that she hasn't really had before. So she's evolving, and we see that in the matches she's had recently.
Absolutely. I think I've just watching her, you can tell the shift that occurred, especially after the New Japan Strong Women's Tournament, of the confidence that she walked out with. Like from here on out, and she hasn't lost that confidence even after losing the belt. Like she just walks out like with this confidence, so confident in her abilities. You can tell it in her matches up against any opponent. Because like, think about it, this time last year she wasn't signed. Like she was not signed to any major company. Now this year she has matches with Athena, Julia, Mercedes, Momo Kogo, like these big time opponents under her belt. Tony Storm, and she has not looked out of place, not one time. And I think that's just absolutely, it's been fantastic to watch. Athena is amazing, in my opinion, the best women's champion in the world. And we just haven't seen a level of dominance. She's doing it all with no manager, no faction, just her, just unbridled violence. And I'm super excited for Death Before Dishonor. Yeah, I've already, when I found out that was the match, I went ahead and pre-ordered the pay-per-view. So we're going to have a good time on Friday. I'm so proud of those two. But moving into Saturday, that was when everything gets really, really crazy. And multiple shows at a time. Obviously, we opened up with the G1 Climax. There were some matches that were obviously better than others. I will be honest. The G1, compared to the best of the Super Juniors so far, the consistency is not there for night to night, but I do acknowledge that that's because much bigger field. We went from 20 to 32, understood. But there are some really great stuff here, and I would like to say on the first night, the young talent really delivered. There was a lot of pressure heading into, obviously, a few weeks before the G1 kicks off. New Japan announces that Yota Tsuji, Shota Umino, and Ren Narita will now be referred to as the three Reiwa Musketeers, something that a lot of people were upset about, including them, because that's a big, big title. Like, that's essentially, like, if you aren't in the New Japan, like, what is it? Like, this is basically like saying, like, this group of rookies is going to be the equivalent of the 1996 Chicago Bulls. Like, that's essentially
a lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure. And you have to think most of these guys just got back from excursion.
Yeah, and it's a lot of pressure, like being like, obviously the blocks are allocated, specifically. But like when you are this young talent up and coming in New Japan, like there's a lot of pressure to excel in various ways. And so when it's put on you to like excel, you obviously are going to have to push forward. And G1 Climax is one of the most competitive, exhausting, exhilarating kind of tournaments in the wrestling world. And it's very intense. It's like you're under scrutiny. And so there's a lot to think about too. You have to like utilize your time very well in those matches. So it's a lot of pressure going in.
Absolutely. But these guys delivered. Shota Umino versus Ren Narita, probably the strongest match from night one. Ended in a draw, these two guys. So we still have no definitive winner. I kind of love that though. Like obviously when we get into like the later nights, you'll find out that the match between Yota Tsuji and Ren Narita earlier today also ended in a draw. So it looks like they're not letting these guys get definitive wins over each other just yet. Like
I like it. Like it keeps you on your toes, right?
absolutely.
Because obviously you know, you could kind of potentially predict like, okay, depending on the opponents facing each other, like you're like, okay, certain people might get one off the other opponent. But I think the fact that there's draws in this makes it really exciting, and you don't know what happens in the next, you know, in the next rounds and things like that. So,
And another
and
thing,
I know it's happening right now, so we're kind of we're gonna have to catch up.
And another thing about the draws that she said that's so interesting is the new institution of the 20-minute time limit. A lot of everybody knows New Japan matches are known to go long. G1 matches, hey, like are known to go long. And I will say this time limit has kept a lot of things super concise, but it's also kept things super interesting.
Well, and I think time limits are very important. Like if you look at how New Japan breaks down their match announcements and kind of their match breakdown, like time limits are very important. And so the fact that there's like this new reinstatement of that, when you look at how sometimes short these matches go or how long, like it makes it really interesting depending on the opponent. So, and we've seen that in kind of the blocks that have happened so far.
Definitely. Also, we had Yota Tsuji versus Kaito Kiyomiya. Kaito Kiyomiya is another person who has had a lot of pressure on him heading into this tournament. He just turned 27 yesterday. And now for me, as a true Noah, I'm a Noah fan in addition to a New Japan fan. It's been really cool to see Kaito in this tournament. He's been really good for a very long time, and he's one of the young stars who I truly believe will probably be the next face of Japanese wrestling as a whole, which I think is why he's in this tournament after calling his shot on Okada. Now he's had a rough year.
Yeah. Well, and that's what's so great about G1 is like people can call their shots and get opportunities like this. And this is obviously this one, you know, we saw him kind of grow and get this opportunity. And like when you call your shot, you got to go and take it.
Absolutely.
So we're seeing him evolve. And the fact that he's at this young age doing this is amazing.
Absolutely. And so currently right now he's undefeated. So on night one, he defeated Yota Tsuji by pinfall. And today he defeated who's that? That is Chase Owens.
Yeah.
So he's doing pretty well. And people have to remember, even though he technically is around the same age as some of these other guys, the Three Musketeer guys, Kaito is a 2-time world champion. He is not a stranger to large stages at all. He is the guy who was gifted Kaiji Muto's moveset after defeating him. He is, the flag bearer for Noah. And it's very clear that he's the future. It's nice to see him get some wins because he lost a lot this year versus Okada. Then he lost against Jake Lee, lost his title. So it's cool to see him get some wins back.
And the fact and to go against Chase Owens too, like a staple of New Japan as well. Like, and it looks like it was like an 8-minute match or so. Yep. So and compared to the previous round, like that's slowly it's going to get more and more intense for him.
Oh, definitely. And on the other best match, I would say from that opening night was also Taichi versus Will Ospreay. At this point, I feel like Will Ospreay matches are treats. Like it's truly
they're just like little nuggets, little gems.
Absolutely,
you want to keep them. You're like, can we go back and watch them again?
No, seriously. Like he gets kicked in the ear by Taichi, completely loses equilibrium, and like can barely move for a while, and then just comes back and is able to do all the crazy stuff he typically does. Like it's an absolute treat to watch Will Ospreay in 2023, and it's crazy to say that like he's technically 30 years old because he feels like the veteran, like one of the most strongest veterans in this tournament so far by a landslide. Like night 3, earlier today, he defeated who did he defeat? Wow, I just watched this an hour ago, and it's crazy. You can tell how sleep deprived I am because I can't
Wait, Will
remember.
Ospreay match?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, on it was Tai Chi.
no, that was the first one.
The first one. Oh, the
And
second?
then the second one was Osprey Yoshihashi. I was staring right at it.
Yoshihashi,
By the
yes.
way, I'm going off.
I'm looking at my notes too. Hold
I'm
on.
going off of my printable bracket here that I made. These were so cute for the G1. Somebody made it on Twitter. I tagged them. I tagged them on my Twitter.
So that first match almost went like 20 minutes. It was like 17 something.
That makes perfect sense because I will say this was one of the matches when I found out that it was going to be opening night that I was most exciting for.
Yeah, and then the second round with Yoshihashi went 13 minutes, so not quite 20, but yeah, that was.
Yeah, so before Ospreay got injured earlier this year, one of his last New Japan singles matches was against Taichi, and it was so good. I will say that was the match that made me a Taichi believer. So I was excited for the rematch, and they didn't disappoint. Also, Taichi is doing really, really well during this tournament. I don't know why. Like, I'm not surprised. He's had a very great year since forming Just Five Guys. He took the King of Pro Wrestling provisional title off Shingo. He basically led Sonata to the World Championship. Taichi's having a great year. He also picked up a win against the returning Tonga Loa. Over on the side of the C and the D block, there was on opening night Tomohiro Ishii versus David Finlay. I have feelings about this match.
Feelings.
I have feelings about this match. One, absolutely incredible. Two, a lot of people owe David Finlay an apology. Listen, the David Finlay Bullet Club is working. It's working very well. And I will say, I believe this is his best match since becoming Bullet Club leader. And I think a lot of it is due to the time limit. I do think that sometimes, like, some of his matches have gone pretty long. I understand what they were, what was trying to happen here, but this was the perfect time limit. Tomohiro Ishii is the best bout machine of the G1 Climax.
Seriously, Ishii, I love watching Ishii. Like, I'll go back and just like, it's an Ishii day, and I'm gonna just go watch. I'm like, let me just go watch because it's so incredible, and I love this matchup. And I feel like Finlay, like, people aren't giving him enough credit. And I feel like this kind of is slowly proving, like, hey, you have to believe in this. You have to get behind him because he's one to watch, and like he's proving himself.
He's coming into his own, and I think like they call Block C is called Murderers Row, and it's hey, with a lineup like David Finlay, Ishii. I don't really talk about evil. Tama Tonga, Shingo Takagi, Hanare, Eddie Kingston, and Mikey Nichols, because who knew he was a hardcore wrestler?
Yeah. Can we talk about Eddie Kingston real quick?
Yeah, let's talk about Eddie Kingston.
Eddie Kingston is one of my favorites, I'm going to just say. And I am so happy that he is having his New Japan moment right now. And like some of the quotes and comments and backstage comments that have been coming out of like the last few weeks, it's very meaningful for him. And so to see him kind of excel in G1, and I think this is like his moment right now. So he obviously likes to interrupt press conferences. We've seen that.
Yes, he does.
In the Eddie Kingston way. But I'm so excited for him to kind of compete against some of these idols that he's have looked up to for so long.
Yeah, his match versus Shingo Takagi, who's one of my favorite wrestlers, and Eddie's also one of my favorites.
Yeah,
was one of I would say the best of that night, easily, like the best of opening night for the CD.
It was really solid. It told a story. It had that energy. It felt like everyone was really kind of looking forward to this one. Definitely,
everybody was looking forward to that one, and they definitely delivered. And both in their backstage comments afterwards, called out Tony Khan and said, "Make the match. I don't care if it's Ring of Honor." Eddie said, "All in, all out." Listen, man, I'll take any of it.
I just got chills. You see that? Yes. Chills. Chills.
Run it. Like,
look at that. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
I'm so excited about that. We also so Mikey Nichols versus Henare. Henare came out. He debuted his new look, in homage to his heritage, versus Mikey Nichols. Like, now listen, I'm a big TMDK fan. I love them as a tag team. I did not know they were hooping like that as singles wrestlers. Mad Mikey Nichols. I thought it was just a name. It is a lifestyle.
It is a lifestyle. It is a full. You have to fully commit. You're like fully committing. You're in it.
It was so funny because I think it was like, it was early because that one started at like 1 a.m. So it's like 3 a.m.
That's early for us.
Yeah, it's like 2 a.m. or so during the show, and people are like on Twitter like, who knew? Did y'all know that Mikey Nichols could do all that? And I'm like, I had no idea. Had no idea that he was a real hooper like that. That match was, it got ugly. Like, they started ramming headbutts like they were bulls. It was a lot. It was good though. It was just a lot. Up next, you had the Mikey's teammate, hysterical Shane Hayes, who actually is hysterical. He gets an A+++++ for his outfit at the press conference. Presentation matters, guys. I've been saying that I've been saying that a lot.
It's one of the most important things. Like, you have to have your look. You have to have your like perfect entrance. Like, it is a thing. Like, you have to make it a moment because it's just as important as what happens in the ring.
And I appreciate that about specifically Shane Hayes, because he knows he's a guy that nobody's really checking for in this tournament. Like, people are quick to write him and Mikey off as, oh, they're just tag team wrestlers. But what he's going to do, he's going to take every single bit of time that he's given. He's going to make you laugh. He's going to stand out, and he's going to make himself unforgettable, which I think is the point of this whole tournament. Everybody can't win. Only one person will win, but stars are born in the G1. And you have to make yourself absolutely undeniable. And I think that we've seen a lot of people rise to the occasion. And going back to Eddie Kingston, what I appreciate about him specifically on this night is that a lot of times when we see Eddie, a lot like what we were saying about Willow earlier, of just like when he gets in some of these like puro Japanese spaces, he's like, oh, I'm just happy to be here. I'm a fan. And I feel like we saw some of that, but it's a certain confidence that he entered in for that first night of the G1, of just being like, yes, I'm a fan. I've always wanted to be here, but I also deserve to be here. And I'm going to work really hard, and I'm going to like hold myself to this high standard. Mm-hmm. And also I'm a champion now. And so like, it's that confidence. And I love seeing that from him.
It's that, I mean, he always has had that confidence. He's always been willing to speak his mind, but now as champion, it just elevates it even more. And he's willing to go against people that like, maybe he wasn't willing to call out before or had the chance to. And so I think in the next 6 months, we're going to see this new Eddie Kingston era. And I know we have a few New Japan shows coming up and other AEW shows. So I think this is really just the beginning for him. And really we're seeing him kind of like take this momentum and take it even further.
And I like, what I also love about like just seeing him get this moment in Japan is just that I think a lot of us, at least if you grew up watching wrestling like I did, like wrestling was always just one thing and one way. And I think also the pinnacle for wrestling was always one thing. It was just like, oh my gosh, get to WrestleMania. And like, that's the height of the business. And I feel like now we're starting to see so many people like create their own WrestleManias, if that makes sense, of just like their own height of their career. Like you can tell for Eddie Kingston, this is it. Like he has always wanted to do this. Like, you know, moments like Forbidden Door, that was the pinnacle for a lot of folks of just, so I love seeing like these big full circle moments just happen, you know, throughout the year for talent. Like, I think we're just in such a cool time now where people are really carving out that space for themselves and just, you know, creating their big moment and going after their dreams. And I think somebody like Eddie, who's in his 40s, like finally reaching his dreams, is just like, I think it's hope to everyone. that, you know, like never give up on yourself, and never give up on what you want. Like I feel inspired. I'm like 25, but I think that he's just incredible, and Shingo is just amazing. And I need New Japan to get it together with Shingo. He is a superstar. And I understand that, you know, he's not as young as some of the other folks, but listen, man, I think he said this in his post-match comments after Forbidden Door. Have you seen another 40-year-old that could move like me? No.
Exactly, right? There's some wisdom there, right? There's some wisdom there.
Definitely. And so, yeah. Oh, my last point on the 16th, Tanahashi versus Zack Sabre Jr. Now, Sonata came out with a statement the other day and said that the new generation lacks sex appeal. And I would like to say that Tanahashi put the young boys to shame with his high pony and his fresh highlights and his
no comment. I have no comment.
And his sleeves. I said, come on, guys. This man is 46. He has y'all beat.
Tanahashi's one of my favorite people in the whole world.
I adore him. I just appreciate, like, he treats it like it's a Met Gala because for wrestling,
you should.
It is the most prestigious tournament in professional wrestling, period, bar none. And I just love he keeps reinventing his looks, because I will say that's something that you expect from Tanahashi, of just like I said, presentation goes a long way. Like, the thing is, he knows his body is no longer, you know, what we've seen in years past. However, he knows that people come to see the ace. So he's going to give you the ace. He's going to look like the ace. He's going to reinvent himself. He's going to get those red and pink highlights because, yeah, who else is doing red and pink highlights with their high pony and looks incredible doing it?
Amazing.
He's going to give you sleeves, just sleeves. I screamed. Like, I literally screamed at like 3 a.m. and started saying yes at the camera.
I need video of you doing that at 3 a.m. Just send it to me.
Okay. Yeah, I know he's going to come
later today.
Absolutely. I know he's going to come with like more fits too. So like, don't worry.
No, it's just going to get more and more. Yeah. You have to like keep making those outfits, you know?
Absolutely. Oh, and shout out to Tanahashi. His teeth fell out again and he got them repaired again. And so that quick turnaround was actually impressive. It keeps coming out with like crazy stuff. He lost it in an apple. He lost it in a granola bar. What was it this time? He was eating crab. He said he was eating crab.
Yeah, it's all of my fears unlocked right there.
Oh my God, yes. Can you just imagine? Like,
I saw a TikTok with someone that like bit into a chicken wing, and they thought it's just the bone. It was like their whole front tooth.
He unlocked a real
unlocked.
Yeah, like it was around Supercard of Honor too, because I remember he took a picture with Mark Briscoe and with their missing teeth, and I said, "Oh my gosh, we are in the multiverse of madness for real." This is nuts. But yes, Tanahashi faced Zack Sabre Jr. Zack Sabre Jr. is crazy good, and I mean he's always been really good, but no, this year, especially since Wrestle Kingdom, since he became the inaugural New Japan World TV champion, he's been on another level. Probably the second best champion in the world, second to probably Orange Cassidy when we were talking about just consistency of title defenses.
You should go back, if you go back and watch some of Zack Sabre Jr.'s like matches from like 6 months ago, 8 months ago, like watch how much he has changed and transitioned and just like grown. It's really kind of incredible that it's like he's been like skyrocketing to where he is right now.
Absolutely. He's become a lot more concise performer. And a lot of that is because he used to do like these big, long, epic matches too, which he's still capable of. But obviously with the belt that he holds, there's a 15-minute time limit, which in my opinion makes him probably the most dangerous man in this tournament, simply because he's used to this. He's used to working that 15-minute range. And then you got to think the time limit is 20 minutes. You're giving him an extra 5.
Yeah, so 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes is kind of like this prime, like it is kind of that perfect time limit because you have to be like very strategic in the types of moves you use and when you use them. And you have to be you have to like think a little smarter and move harder. Like you do have to move harder and like
Absolutely.
kind of really try to get your offense in sooner. And so if you look at some of those matches that are like 15 minutes or so, and I think G1 is like the prime example of like you have to get those moves in as quickly as you can. Maybe not the fastest moves or like the most intense moves, but you have to like take your opponent down as quickly as you can without like using as much of your energy, right? Because you have to like
Mhm.
conserve your energy, right? So it's just a whole different game,
But a
right?
style like that is made for somebody like Zack Sabre Jr.,
Yeah.
who has a very submission heavy offense, the king of takedowns, and
Hmm.
literally he's known for essentially a never ending gas tank. His stamina, his
Like the
condition,
Energizer Bunny.
exactly. His conditioning is elite. Like it's
Yeah.
top tier. I'm not sure I've ever really seen him like super winded in the ring. Like I've seen him beat up, but I'm not sure if I've ever really seen him
Yeah.
like exhausted.
And using those submissions, like that's also like that is ideal because you're not doing really. I mean, I'm not saying submissions are very intense if you're on the if you're trying to lock your opponent in, right? Um, so, but it is ideal. Like if you can get it enough in, and they you know they give up, then
Definitely.
you'll be in a good spot.
And so the match with Tanahashi I felt was really good. And the thing about it is that a lot of people were wondering, I think, especially coming off Forbidden Door that weekend, like obviously, like, oh, is Tanahashi going to be in great physical condition, like to like do the G1? Listen, Tanahashi would rather die than mess up at the G1. And don't bet against the ace, guys. And I will say, we saw in this match, he's working a much more grounded offense, which I think is great. I want him to stick with that until probably for the rest of his career, unless he goes and sees Rey Mysterio surgeon and gets those new knees. Then by all means, jump off of everything because I don't know who his doctor is, but that stem cell replacement stuff is excellent. But he's been fantastic. And I think this was a really great match for him. I hope he sticks to that style. But obviously, Zack Sabre Jr. won. Also, that night was Tama Tonga versus the evil I don't speak of, and with Tetsuya Naito versus Jeff Cobb.
Jeff Cobb, yeah,
Yes, which was the last match was pretty good, but it's been a very very interesting G1.
yeah.
And today also, Okada versus El Phantasmo had a killer main event, like a killer main event today. Um, and El Phantasmo is becoming quickly a very beloved babyface. When I heard people chant ELP over Okada, I was kind of stunned.
Yeah. I'm have to catch up on this one because I know it all. Uh, but yeah, definitely that's another one where he's definitely grown into this big like superstar here, and I have to go back and
Yeah.
watch this one. This one's on my list today because it's Okada.
Oh, absolutely. And I think one thing that's really cool specifically about ELP is because he was Bullet Club. Bullet Club was
Hmm.
his identity for a very long time. And so I think a lot of people, me included, were really like wondering like how is he going to function outside of that?
Outside of Bullet Club, yeah,
Yeah.
and that's always the question. Is like Bullet Club is obviously such an important historic faction that like once you're a part of it, like that's a really
Yeah.
big deal. Some people, obviously are not a part of it anymore, and what happens after that? Like, what is your identity after that? And so some people find it very quickly, and others take a little bit more time to figure out exactly what their next steps are and what the vision of themselves as a competitor is.
No, absolutely. He's been incredible. And I will just say, second half of this past night was awesome. But as we know, that was not the only wrestling that happened over the past few days. There's been a lot happening moving into um, I'll say, yeah, I'll go into Collision because I want to save my favorite match for last. Collision had a few big matches. Obviously, there was FTR versus Bullet Club Gold. There was CM Punk versus Ricky Starks in the men's tournament final for Owen Hart Cup, and then there was Willow versus Ruby Soho. All of these matches were decent, but one of these matches were excellent. And that's FTR versus Bullet Club Gold. Now, I didn't know this match was going to be 58 minutes.
Almost that hour mark. I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. But I mean, I've seen it, people say it on Twitter, but I agree. I think this is the best American tag team match that we've ever seen on TV. I can't think of another television tag team match, one that ever got that much time, but two, that was that good.
But it shows the weight of it that they put that much. The fact that they gave it an hour shows that like they knew they wanted to take their time, that it was an important moment for both of these tag teams.
Absolutely. And the thing is, like, it's 2 out of 3 falls. You know, that's essentially like the same amount of time that FTR Briscoe's 2 got.
That's like 3 wrestling matches in one.
Literally about 3 matches in one.
And how do you feel about like Bullet Club Gold, Jay White, Juice Robinson? Like, I think this is gold right there. I think the two of them together is this. When I heard both of them, you know, we're obviously moving on to AEW. Like, this is like I was like in my head, that's what's gonna happen. Like, I predicted it, I knew it. This is like one of the best tag teams I've seen. They've known each other, they've fought each other in the past. They're in it. And obviously and then versus FTR, it was like this perfect match made in heaven. I think it was like this perfect match. Obviously, I can't even speak. I have to just speak so highly of both of them.
Yeah, it was really good. And Bullet Club Gold, I love it. I remember when we were still trying to figure out where was Jay White was going to sign. I think I was tweeting. I was like, I really miss Jay White's post-match comments. Like, obviously, I missed the matches, but his post-match comments in New Japan were things of legend.
Jay White, we were like, together? Yeah, we would be like, okay, how long? We're like, how long is his promo going to be? We're like, all right, 12 minutes, got it.
And like, he literally made it feel like it wasn't even backstage comments. Or like, even with the G1, like last year, the Jay show, like, him and Juice together are also we're always so good together. I'm just like, oh, I missed them. And then like they were put together. I'm like, oh yes. Also, I'm just really glad that he's in AEW, just both of them, just because the style of matches that they like to wrestle and that they're capable of wrestling, I'm not sure they would have been able to do anywhere else. Like, there's nowhere else you're going to be able to do 58-minute tag team matches on national television. But also, like, just seeing Jay White just adjust so quickly to TV wrestling, which isn't an easy thing to do.
Yeah, I think there's experience there, right? Yeah. Like, you have experience, you know, he has experience there. It's just a little bit different when it's that live all the time, right? That's when it gets a little bit different. Yeah. But I think I have this feeling that like there's this like I was talking about this with some friends, that like there's like this OG like love for the Bullet Club, like the original, like you have some amazing legends that come out of that, and then you have like this Bullet Club Gold. And in my life, I want to see like both of them come together, like either come together or even like fight each other, like
I think that's going to happen. And the reason why I say this, one is Bullet Club's 10th anniversary year. But two, I've been watching the video diaries from the War Dogs, which are very funny. They're very funny. But they've been calling out Jay White and Juice Robinson a lot in those video diaries, like the one that just got released like 2 days ago. So I'm hopeful. that this is possibly leading somewhere. I would love for it to lead somewhere, just because I think that there's just so much talent. Like the Bullet Club, we're not ready as a wrestling community to have this conversation right now because I feel like everybody's not mature enough. But we're going to have that conversation of, is this probably the most influential faction of definitely this era, maybe ever? If you look at longevity, how they've been able to grow roots in every single wrestling company and remain relevant and continue to reinvent themselves, the lineage of the leaders, the amount of championships won. I don't think that there's any. Yes, we can talk about cultural significance and t-shirt sales, which they had those too. But when we talk about changing the face of professional wrestling, Bullet Club did it.
Yeah. I mean, we that's a whole other episode.
Absolutely.
We can talk about the influence of Bullet Club for sure. And the best merch in the world.
Absolutely. So that match was amazing. Also, I will say FTR has done their best work this year against Bullet Club Gold. For me personally,
FTR could just be like, "Hey, can I take a few weeks off for vacation?" Like, I'd be okay with that because this delivered.
Absolutely. And the thing is, like, I have been very critical of FTR this year. Like, they were my tag team of the year last year, but I was just like, where are these signature matches that I know them for last year? But they gave them to me. They gave them to me with these both Bullet Club Gold matches, because the one before it was also excellent. It was excellent, not as long as this last one, but it was absolutely excellent. Hopefully, hey, they're 2 falls apiece now. I would love to see a rubber match between these two teams. They have excellent chemistry, and also just shout out to Juice Robinson. Like, he's found his thing. He's good at it. He's hilarious. He's dependable. He's a workhorse. And Collision, I feel, has been better for Bullet Club Gold than probably just anybody else. Like, those are the winners of Collision. And that's why I think that extra TV time is just so crucial. And so, yeah, I love it. That was one of the best matches of the weekend. Next, Triple Mania. I don't typically cover Lucha on this show, but when Kenny Omega has a singles match, you cover whatever he's doing. Kenny is my favorite wrestler. And I will say the whole pay-per-view wasn't the best, but there was a lot going on, so I didn't even have to watch most of it just because there were other shows going on at the same time. Best match.
Did you have your 4 screens up?
Yes. That is exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. I can't believe I'm saying this, but QT Marshall had one of the best matches of the night against Penta. They had an ambulance match that was a death match, and I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't prepared for that. I forgot it was even on the card. I was very caught off guard there. The match after that was, I forgot what that match was, but the match that really matters, Kenny versus Vikingo, which was amazing. And I just want to say Kenny Omega he's the best jack of all trades in wrestling. Like, he goes to every single global wrestling market. He challenges himself against the absolute best, and he succeeds. And just seeing how long his meet and greet lines were in Mexico, and he's loved everywhere, and he just performs on this style. Even adjusting, I was thinking about this, of just how quickly he adjusted to the 6-sided ring. Because a lot of wrestlers hate it. They hate 6-sided ring. I remember
it's definitely a transition. It's definitely an adjustment.
I grew up on TNA, and so I remember when they went from the 6-side to the 4-side, a lot of wrestlers were happy, and I was like, "Oh, I love the 6-sided ring." But actual wrestlers were it's just not. It's just not practical.
Yeah, but if you want to be a jack of all trades and really be able to wrestle anywhere in the world, you have to learn as much as you can. So, and we know, Omega knows everything, has done everything. So, that's why he connects with fans on a global level and can have matches like this in any company anywhere in the world.
Absolutely. He was absolutely incredible here. He finished his story with the AAA Mega title. I highly doubt he'll probably do any more appearances, but this was a great little Bo. Great little, cherry on top with he put Vikingo over. They're now 1-1 apiece. Vikingo is just the superstar. Very excited to see where his future ends up. The match was great. For Slammiversary, lot of interesting stuff coming out of Slammiversary. I particularly was watching for the Trinity match, which was great, and I'll talk about that in a second. But there was a lot of great things that showed up. Jake something showed up in the Ultimate X match. Leo Rush squashed Chris Sabin.
That was like surprising.
I blinked and it was over.
Yeah.
I could not believe that. But shout out to Leo Rush. He's been one of my absolute favorites since Junior Tag League. 22 this year, killed it in Best of the Super Juniors. I mean, amazing. People were handing him their babies to hold, newborn babies.
Yeah, so you have to kiss the babies.
Absolutely. Like, Leo Rush has been absolutely phenomenal. Great matches with people like Hiromu Takahashi, and Mike Bailey. Like, he's killed it this year. And so it was cool to see him finally get a moment. I didn't know it was going to happen like that.
Yeah, it was like so fast. I was like, what? Like because I was like covering and watching multiple shows while trying to do something like working, and I was like, wait, that just happened so fast.
And I just literally, I blinked and he was just holding up the title, and I was like, oh my god!
Like, rewind, hold on, yeah.
But congratulations to Leo Rush. What else happened? There was Eric Young returned. I thought he was still under contract to WWE. Apparently, he is not. He's returned to Impact, which is really cool. If you grew up a TNA fan like me, he's one of the originals, so it's always cool to see him back home. And we had Trinity versus Deanna, and it was special. It just really made me smile. I just smiled during that entire match. I think it was funny because during that moment of Battle of the Belts, because Battle of the Belts was going on by that point, I turned down the volume while the Acclaimed was on, and that is the first and hopefully the last time I will ever mute the Acclaimed. But I just had to focus on this moment in history. I'm just so proud of both of these women. I mean, Deonna Purrazzo, I think, has been very underrated. For the technical wrestler she is. She is a very, very, very precise, an excellent in-ring technician with her submission holds and just her attention to detail. She has really carried that Impact Knockouts division, which is no small feat because that's a very talented division.
Yeah, I mean, she's so incredible. Like, we've all seen her grow at Impact, and I think collectively it was like 500 plus days, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's so many opponents, so many, like, and again, her technical wrestling, like you said, has gotten so much better. Like, she's evolved because of the work that she's done on herself and the different opponents that she's had. And I think she is like she's at like this, I don't want to say like peak of her career, but like she's at even though like we obviously know what happened and we'll talk about how exciting that was, but I think she's grown so much that like this was her moment to show like everyone everything that she has. And it doesn't mean it's over for her. I think there's some other things down the road, but I think she's proven herself, and like this was her moment to prove to the fans, like, hey, I have it, and I'm still like she still has that champ attitude, even though she,
absolutely.
I
think because I feel like titles can change hands, but it's much harder to change the face of a division. I feel like,
and like she helped shape the face. Like, she's a leader. She's helped kind of change what the Impact, the Knockouts division is, and what it means. And that's, and to do that 500 plus days in different ways is really difficult to do. And she's proven that she's done that. And obviously, like, titles change, like you said. But just because titles change, there's also like an energy there and a way that you have to lead a company. Like you are leading a whole division. You are a face of a division. And that is harder to do, you know?
Yeah, I think she's been a great gatekeeper, and I think she had a very hard responsibility of, how do I say this? Like, these, neither her nor Trinity owe anyone anything. Like they owe no one anything. But I do think that there has been a lot of talk, a lot of doubts amongst people wanting to understand why. Like Trinity, why Impact? Like
Yeah.
why there? Like, is this even big enough? What made you go there of all places? Like it's not the biggest stage, but Trinity was obviously looking for a level of competition.
I think it's a mixture of competition. I think it's a mixture of creative freedom. I think it's a mixture of having a voice, being able to speak those like thoughts and words that you haven't necessarily been able to. There's a freedom to choosing your own path and choosing where you want to go that she hadn't had for a really long time. And again, I'm not trying to put words in her mouth, but I think there is like Impact has some of the best competition, the best competitors, some of the best leaders and producers, and product. And so, I'm so happy for Trinity that she's able to find a place that she can call home. And, she is the new leader of the women's division and the face of it. And she's going to be able to grow in ways that she wasn't necessarily able to previously. And I'm excited to just see potentially new fans kind of take advantage of having her on a smaller platform, because not everyone was able to see her, at WWE shows. Not everyone can afford to go to those. And so Impact is also very like so much more relatable in some ways and so much more like accessible, that I'm excited that she gets to connect on that way too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's been really cool because for me, when I was growing up, TNA was my first taste of prioritized women's wrestling. That was it for me. Like, we were still on the, I watched a lot of WWE, but we were still in like bra and panties era. So it wasn't really like, it wasn't substance in the women's matches. Obviously, you had some people who still did the best that they could and like did amazing, and I loved them, obviously. But for the most part, where I went to see women's wrestling prioritized, it was TNA, it was Impact, it was Gail Kim and Awesome Kong and ODB
leading that charge. And they're like legends that had to lay that groundwork so that there's opportunities like for Deanna and for Trinity to be a part of organizations like this. And this was a match that's going to help pave the way for the next chapter and the next generation of talent. And who knows what is going to happen in a month. I guess a month from now, there's another Impact show. Absolutely. And I think and next week, right? Next week there's another Impact show. Next or end of this month. So it's the opportunity is there, and like the excitement around and the buzz is there, and you gotta keep that energy. And I think their Impact is always great about putting women's wrestling to the forefront, that they can main event, they can be leading pay-per-views. And this is just the beginning of this new chapter for them. And I'm excited to kind of see where it goes, and we'll all be watching very closely.
Absolutely. I will 100% be watching. I think I saw during the match, I was like, this is her first time taking a pile driver and just a whole bunch of different moves and different things. Like, it was
she's so athletic already. Like, she's so athletic. And to have to like to train to get back up to this point where she's always been athletic and has had an athletic background, but to like have to, and then Deanna on the technical side, this was definitely a match that you really had to like fight your way through. And I think we're gonna see again just like her try different moves and have this athleticism and this like creative freedom that she's been craving, that we've all been like wanting to see.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing her mix it up with some of the other women in the women's division, in the knockouts division, because there's a lot of talent there. Also, that weekend we saw Killer Kelly and Masha Slamovich win the knockouts tag titles. And listen, I think that Masha Slamovich is one of the best young women's wrestlers in the world. And she's only getting better. I know she's in the tag division right now, but I really, really hope her and Trinity get to mix it up in singles action sometime soon, because listen, Masha Slamovich is the future. And there's a lot of great talent in that division. And also, of course, Deanna's probably going to want her lick back eventually, and that's going to be amazing too. I think she's been an incredible gatekeeper of the division, and the way that she wrestles, she carries I would say, a lot of the legacy of Impact on her. But that was basically all from the weekend. If you are a Noah fan, you saw Nakajima Miyahara, my favorite match of the weekend, one of the best matches of the year. I'm not going to get super into it because a lot of people don't really watch Noah, but if you ever want to take a chance on it, please, please, please watch it. It's on Wrestling Universe. But, we got more days of the G1 coming. Blood and Guts this week. Golden Lovers are back. Life is good, man. Life
so
is
much
so
wrestling.
So much wrestling. But thank you so much, Emily, for joining me.
Yes, thanks for having me.
I am so glad that you're able to be here. You're like one of my inspirations. I love all the work you do. And I'm just super excited for what's coming next for everybody in wrestling. I feel like there's so many amazing opportunities and just so much amazing wrestling happening all over the world. I'm so glad that everybody's being able to just take part in it some way, somehow, some form, some fashion. So it's been cool. Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can follow me on all social platforms at Emily Mayheller. I know there's a million social media platforms, but I'm on all of them. So come find me and let's chat wrestling.
Awesome. And you can find me at Lyric Wrestling. And of course, I'll be here next week. And thank you also everybody who responded so great to the Mariah May interview. That was awesome. Hopefully we'll be able to do more like that in the future. But until next time, I will talk to you all later. Bye.